I didn't invent this. I don't have that fertile an imagination. And I remind you, in 1937, Dr. William Woodward of the American Medical Association opposed Congress's Marijuana Act on the basis that they're shutting off, prohibiting what could be the beneficial medical uses of marijuana. In response to the query about smoking, marijuana can be ingested or inhaled. If a landlord wishes to prohibit smoking, I would be strongly in favor of tweaking this bill in the House to make sure that no smoking is allowed, that the substance shall be ingested or inhaled, hence the Medical Society's recommendation to further develop that.
Senator Brzezinski.
See, my questions are 30 seconds. The answers are filibustered. But, Senator, you know, I understand, like I said, I don't doubt your intentions whatsoever. But I think there's a lot of difference between these organizations recommending further research and doing that in clinical trials, doing that in things in a situation where it's very closely monitored versus a pilot project that opens it up to anyone in the state who applies to the Department of Public Health and who can get their doctor to write a prescription. So I'm not sure that that's a valid argument. I just caution my colleagues. I think that, you know, here we are at another crossroads in the state of Illinois. We've seen a couple in the last week as well. And I think that we need to be very careful before we go down this road. Thank you.
Senator Jones, for what purpose do you rise?
I rise to move the previous question, Madam President.
It's always in order, Senator. There are 4 speakers. Senator Raoul, for what purpose do you rise?
To the bill, Madam President.
To the bill, Senator.
I also want to join my colleagues in commending Senator Hayne for his leadership in this and for bringing this bill to a point where you have the stakeholders at the table who will be at the table in the rulemaking process to make sure that the appropriate protections for many of the concerns that have been raised are implemented. Now, you can pick over any bill that's introduced by any legislator, and you could pick over language within that bill to divert attention away to the heart of the matter. And this is a bill about compassion for those who are suffering, whose suffering is not ameliorated by what has been called on the other side as an exact science. The pharmaceutical industry and pharmaceuticals by no means is an exact science. Just a couple of weeks ago, I went down to visit my mother who's suffering from different ailments, and she has been moved by her physicians from one pharmaceutical to the other and prescribe a pharmaceutical to address the side effect of the initial pharmaceutical, and then thereafter prescribe another pharmaceutical to address the side effect of the pharmaceutical that was addressing the side effect of the first one. And since I mentioned one parent, I can't help but mention another parent who pharmaceuticals had no answer for the pain that he had to go through. So we can make this a political issue, but this is about compassion. This is truly about compassion and about people who are suffering from chronic diseases and who have no alternatives because the pharmaceutical industry and we as a legislature and the laws and previous federal administrations have not afforded these people opportunity to have a decent quality of life. I strongly urge I vote on this bill.
Senator Jacobs.
Question, sponsor.
Sponsor indicates he'll yield. Senator Jacobs.
Senator, you assert that people that have been diagnosed by a doctor with cancer, AIDS, MS, glaucoma, should be able to go and get medical marijuana.
Senator Haynes.
Senator, it's yes, in essence, but they have to submit a written certification signed by a physician stating, one, that in the physician's professional opinion that patient is likely to receive therapeutic or palliative benefit from the medical use of cannabis to treat or alleviate the patient's debilitating medical condition or symptoms associated with it. Two, that the qualifying patient has a debilitating medical condition, etc., specifying what it is. Three, that the patient is under a physician's care for the debilitating condition, and the written certification shall be made only in the course of a bona fide physician-patient relationship after that physician has completed a full assessment of the qualifying patient's medical history.
Senator Jacobs.
Senator, do you find it at all interesting that people view drugs made by man as better than drugs made by God? I mean, medical marijuana grows in the ground all over my district. It gets born from a seed. We don't have to go to Baxter to make it. We don't have to go to any of my friends on the other side's drug companies to make it. And that people can find relief from something when they're in a very bad point in their life that doesn't cost $1 million either to develop, does it? I mean, this is something that someone could drop in their backyard and find relief from. And there's some of us in this chamber that would prefer Oxycontin, morphine, would prefer mommy's little helpers, uppers, downers, all-arounders. This is the most hypocritical debate this General Assembly has ever indulged in. And we do that pretty well. I want to salute you, Senator. I know this is a hard thing for a prosecutor, a former prosecutor, to do. But I will just point out that God grows these seeds.
Senator Severson. Senator Severson, for what purpose do you rise?
Thank you, Madam President. Everything's pretty much been said, so I just want to rise and thank the sponsor for his work on this. This is legislation that I supported last year and I support this year. And I think you've done an excellent job of addressing the concerns that many people had. There's no question that you've put as many safeguards as possible that can be in this. In the end, I think this will be a model legislation for the country to look at. People that need it will get the service that they need. And the abuses that have been raised before that other states have had, are not in here. So I want to thank the sponsor for his leadership on this, and certainly stand as a supporter of this legislation.